Being coachable is a foundational capacity.
Shut up and sit down.
Welcome back to Adult Academy and Fire Service Warrior. Shared video this week because it is central to building upon this topic of mental toughness that we've been talking about. When we talk about mental toughness, what we are discussing is the ability to express resiliency and to behave in a self-reliant manner when we are confronted with difficulties and challenges. Those challenges may come in the form of physical actions. They may be things that we have to do in the course of our job. They may be things that we have to do in the course of our fitness training. But they may also be things that we have to deal with mentally or emotionally. The capacity to express resiliency and to behave in a self-reliant manner is something that we can cultivate. We talk about a lot of different skills when it comes to enhancing that ability. One that I think requires particular attention at this stage of our development and this stage of our discussion is coachability. Coachability is your capacity as a learner to take the feedback from your instructor, mentor, teacher, sensei, whoever that may be. Take that feedback and integrate it into not only your performance, but your way of thinking about what you're doing. Our ability to be coachable is a reflection of whether or not we are operating from a place with a healthy ego or an unhealthy ego. I think it's important to define your terms and to make sure people understand where you're coming from. When I use the term ego, I am reflecting back to the way Freud originally defined the idea of a tripartite psyche. For me, what Freud was talking about in discussing the id, the ego, and the superego is three aspects of how our psyche approaches the world. Real quick recap. The id, in Freud's language, I equate to our 5 F's, our need to feed, our need to fight, our need to flee, our need to freeze, and our need to mate. Those 5 F's mirror Maslow's biological drives, his physiological drives, and they are at the foundation of what it takes to survive in the world. An unmediated expression of the id is an attempt to survive in a mammalian world without the benefit of rationality or consciousness. The superego, on the other hand, is the commanding presence from outside of us. It is the directive presence of society, of the organizations that we belong to. It is the commanding voice of our parents. And in many cases, we interpret that superego as suppressing the drives of the id. That's part of what the superego is there to do. It is there to help us mediate and modulate the implicit mammalian drives. The ego falls between these two, and the ego is our self. It is our sense of self. It is our capacity to express our agency, ideally in a healthy way. When we are in a healthy place with our ego, we are able to both have our primal, instinctual, rooted drives and listen to the feedback from the superego. Being coachable means being able to hear the voice of an outsider, the voice of the superego, not in a repressive way, but in a constructive way, in a helpful way. Here's the challenge. Many of us have dealt with external agents, superego agents, who have repressed our natural skills, our natural abilities. They haven't lifted us up. Instead, they have tried to shove us into a box. That's part of life. It's part of growing up. I don't think it's fair to necessarily blame people who have done that. They may be your parents, they may be your mentors, they may be your teachers, they may be whoever in your life that has tried to stamp you down. In some cases, that repression was intentional. Most of the time, I don't think it is. Most of the time, I think it's people trying to do what they can with what they understand. Our ability to engage empathetically with those individuals who we identify as the superego, I think can help us transcend some of the challenges that are brought about by their well-meaning but perhaps imbalanced opinions. How does this relate to coachability? The person who is coachable, the trainee, the mentee, the student who is ready to learn, is able to listen to the feedback of the coach, take it on board, process it, and do something with it. Now, what you do with it depends upon the feedback. Perhaps the feedback is a physical correction of your skill. As a firefighter, maybe you're not using the Halligan right. As an athlete, maybe your setup position in your snatch is bad. As a coworker, maybe you are not running the TPS reports correct. I don't know. Regardless, if that feedback that's coming in is meant to help lift up your skill set, you have to ask yourself, how do you respond to it? Do you respond by saying, thank you, and taking it on board and listening? Or do you respond defensively? Be coachable. Be able to listen. Stop and reflect upon what's been said. Hear it, take it in, and decide how you will respond to it. Do not just react to it. Being coachable is central to our ability to develop resiliency and to be self-reliant. It allows us to engage with others empathetically. It allows us to take in the feedback that is being offered. And then, with reflection, to express our agency through incorporating that information and applying it, or saying, this does not fit and I need to reject it. Doing that upon reflection is a sign of coachability. Doing it implicitly is a sign of an unhealthy ego reacting to its previous repression. It should be said, I am not a psychologist. I am not a psychiatrist. My opinions are those of I'd like to think, critical thinker who's reflected upon these things and done a lot of work. However, your mileage may vary. As always, thanks for spending some time with me today. Please like, share, subscribe. Find me on Facebook. Check out Fire Service Warrior and Adult Academy on Facebook. Visit the Adult Academy and the Fire Service Warrior pages for the new and interesting stuff that we're doing. And if you're going to be in the Chicagoland area, come out to Crestwood, visit Sean and I at the Adult Academy space, get in a workout, work on some skill drill stuff. We'll see you soon. Cheers.